right, hey everyone, and welcome to this session. This is arguably the headline session of the day. We have some big names here. We have Richard de Sousa, Paula Fernandez, Vays, and our moderator Liam Kelly as well. Just before we get into the session, I do want to make mention that there is an after party afterwards where there's going to be a whole bunch of goodies to give away. So if you guys join the after party session, you'll be able to stream some music, live music being streamed by the Godfathers of House, and then take a selfie of yourself in front of your computer, maybe with your beer, whatever you got, and you could win yourself a whole bunch of goodies. There's some crypto socks, a whole bunch of swag as well. All you got to do is take that selfie. I'm now going to hand straight over to Liam. Liam, it's over to you to introduce this fantastic panel.
Great. Thank you for the introduction, James. My name is Liam. I'm the editorial manager of Crypto Briefing, and I'm joined today to talk about the DeFi bubble, or is DeFi a bubble, with Richard de Sousa, the founder and CEO of Altcoin Trader, Paula Fernandez, advisor at Golem Factory and founder and managing director of EthBerlin, and Vays, derivatives trader and Bitcoin consultant. So we're in November, about to be in November, and the DeFi summer has sort of cooled off. A lot of these top tokens that were popular in July and August have fallen quite a bit. And I guess people are asking the big question, is DeFi a bubble? And before we dig into that, I would like to talk a little bit about how the relationship between innovation and financial bubbles. The dot-com bubble and the rise of the internet is a great example. The crypto market in 2017 is yet another. So what can people do to distinguish between true innovation and an overhyped market? And perhaps I'll pass this one off to Tone if you would like to take that one on.
Sure. Yeah, the internet bubble is a really great example because the internet was an amazing innovation, but people, for some reason, well, we know people got very greedy and everyone was buying up anything with a .com in it. Anything with a .com had a huge valuation, to the point where the value of the NASDAQ was over 5,000 points. When that bubble popped, people realized, hey, there's a lot of innovation here, but we can't just value these .coms because they're .coms. And a lot of people don't know, but it took 15 years for the NASDAQ to reach its 2000 high. It didn't break it until 2015. And that's not even adjusted for 15 years of inflation. So you can tack another year to that. In the meantime, the internet kept growing. I mean, the iPhone came out in 2008. So we had 7 years of smartphones, and we still couldn't top the value of the NASDAQ from 2000. And that's a true bubble. Now, crypto had the same thing. A lot of these tokens were valued at ridiculous values. So Bitcoin was at 19,000, and we're getting close to that. We're already sitting right at 14,000. It's very possible we'll get back to that $20,000 area next year. But some of these other tokens, most of them will never, ever, ever even come close to their highs. I don't even think Ethereum will go back to 1,600 a token, but some of those other ones were insane. So I'm hoping that cooler heads will prevail and DeFi won't actually go into a bubble. It already went to unreasonable highs because I don't think there's any innovation in DeFi, and I think that's probably might be our next topic to debate a little bit. So I'm hoping that DeFi can avoid the bubble, but Bitcoin will go up. And this time around, we could go to new all-time highs in an orderly fashion, where it's not actually a bubble. It's not going up unsustainably. I'll leave it there.
And Richard, would you like to add anything to that? Your take on the relationship between innovation and bubbles?
Yeah, Leon, certainly. I think it's every innovation or every technological breakthrough normally starts with some type of craze or some type of mad bubble. And that's what drives this innovation, because as humans, we need to learn, and that's where we make our mistakes. That's the sandbox where we actually find out what the possibilities of the new innovation are. And do we make mistakes? Certainly. We very, very often make mistakes in these initial stages. So I almost want to say that a bubble or over-enthusiasm is a very, very healthy process to any technology to start. If you take the Wright brothers, for example, and going back to the question, is DeFi going to end badly? I want to just say that, look, with the Wright brothers, they were trying to get a flying machine going, and we all know the story, and a lot of people thought it was going to end badly. But that's not the truth. The truth is, in fact, that it is going to start badly. In other words, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money when it starts, it's going to end gloriously as an alternative financial system. So the start and the end are two very different things. I think it will start badly, as we've seen it in very many cases, not so much DeFi, but yield farming has started badly, but it is going to end gloriously. I'm going to leave it at that.
Sure. And Maria, I can't forget you in this conversation
Sure.
as well. What are your thoughts?
So essentially, I don't believe that DeFi is a bubble. I think it's a wave of innovation and experimentation. Having been in the DeFi ecosystem and in Ethereum for about three years, and having also lived through the ICO bubble, which was actually a proper bubble, then I can tell you that DeFi is wildly different. Of course, there's bad things, but then again, there's really good things about DeFi, and the birth of composability. On-chain composability is very exciting. I have seen these protocols from the very start, from when Compound was really bare bones and really basic, and to see everything evolve and to see all the money Legos, like they like to call them, come together and really work, even if the UX is not optimal. It's absolutely great. It's pure innovation and proper experimentation.
Okay. And Richard, I just want to return to you about a point that you just made. It starts badly and will end gloriously. You talked about in this beginning phase, perhaps that's where we are. There is some key learning to be done. What have you learned so far from this summer's activity?
So I've been involved in DeFi for a little bit longer than just the recent yield farming craze or this liquidity mining craze. I think that has been a catalyst which has just catapulted DeFi. But what I've really learned from DeFi is it is an amazing alternative financial system. Being one of the guys that's actually used DeFi to purchase a property. And there can be a lot of argument, is it centralized, is it decentralized? But I got to a stage where I was no longer able to finance through the traditional financial system. However, DeFi afforded me that opportunity to continue to trade and to continue to expand my portfolio. And when I say trade, I mean buy food. I don't mean trade as in trading crypto or trading derivatives. I mean as in basic partaking on the economy. So I was able to now get to another level because of the removal of unrealistic restrictions that are imposed by the current financial system. You see, DeFi is like Pandora's box. It has been opened. And as a human species and as a human race, we have had a glimpse into the possibilities that are available from an alternative, decentralized financial system. And this box can never be closed. It will open, it'll go along, it'll fumble along, and it will eventually evolve into just the way we do commerce as a species.
Right. I agree with Richard. I think one of the best things, whether you like DeFi or not, the big picture of this year is that it has taken a toll on all of us. And some people have had a health toll, some people have had a big economic toll. And if DeFi could, get some of these people out of the crisis, then, it's already effective. And at the same time, it has also made a lot of people very rich, but, a lot of people get rich every single day. Bezos gets richer and richer every day. So, it's relative. It has done more good than bad, actually.
Sure. And I think a key point in this conversation, just moving ahead, is that we define precisely what we mean by DeFi. On the one hand, you have innovations like yield farming and liquidity mining. And then on the other hand, according to certain definitions, people would consider Bitcoin the original DeFi. And I think this might be a good opportunity for someone like Tone, a large Bitcoin proponent, to maybe chime in there. Do you think Bitcoin is DeFi? Do you think the two are interchangeable? How do you see that playing out?
Sure. No, I do think Bitcoin is pure DeFi, and but it's interesting how in the beginning of the first question, all three of us agreed that there isn't really a bubble, but for opposite reasons. Like, I don't think there's a bubble because I don't think DeFi is innovationary, and I think it's just going to fizzle out. I don't think it's going to get to a bubble. Not that it's at a pre-bubble. I don't think there's any innovation in DeFi at all, especially yield farming. The word DeFi doesn't actually make sense the way it's currently used because the D in the DeFi stands for decentralization. And the only thing that's decentralized in the crypto space is actually Bitcoin. all these other products, they all already exist. They're just operating in this unregulated niche. And in the very, very early days, you could kind of do something with it. But I don't think there's any innovation. And this DeFi situation is really, really bothering me. They are all Ponzi schemes to me. And while some Ponzi schemes can last a really long time and create bubbles, we saw that with BitConnect, we saw that with Plus Token. If we take it back to 2015, we can talk about Triple M. But in general, or OneCoin, of course, as well. But in general, most of these Ponzi schemes, they fizzle out and they don't destroy like the world. They don't get globally popularized as a Ponzi scheme. And that's everything in yield farming. That's all it is. They're just small Ponzi schemes. And I think now that they're starting to pop a little bit, I don't think it'll make it to a bubble because honestly, I think this DeFi space is so silly that it makes absolutely no sense. And that's why it's not going to make it into a bubble. It's not decentralized. There's no innovation. It's a bunch of people printing money with some people making money on that money. And I don't think it's going to go very far.
You've always obviously not done your research, to be honest, because what I see is fascinating. And MakerDAO is not a Ponzi, it's proper DeFi. So, what do you tell me about that? Because you're only talking about the yield farming craze. Of course, there's opportunities everywhere. There's opportunities as well in Bitcoin. Otherwise, see the forex. So, I think that this is a matter of, not labeling absolutely everything that you see as a Ponzi, because it's not. And I'd advise you to just do a little bit of research and take some time to explore because it's helpful.
Well, MakerDAO will not be, they're centralized. They're not, all their claims to be decentralized, they're just false. For obvious reasons, they're also built on top of Ethereum, which had proven to be centralized with what happened after the DAO hack. These are centralized situations that will eventually prove themselves over time when more and more hacks happen. It's just how that entire system has always been.
Hold on, Tom. Let's let Richard speak a little bit. Go ahead, Richard.
So to even think that DeFi is built on Ethereum would show a lack of understanding of the true meaning of DeFi. DeFi is an alternative financial system that is blockchain agnostic. Maybe I should pose the question like this. If you need a loan for your 20th property, if you are a property portfolio, for example, would you prefer to go and stand in a queue at Chase Bank or JP Morgan, or would you like to interact with AI or a smart contract where no KYC, where no prerequisite is required, and be able to freely trade in a new open economic system? It's not about Ethereum. It's not about Ethereum fees because DeFi is absolutely blockchain agnostic. The fact that most DeFi is built on Ethereum is simply because Ethereum has a reasonably good blockchain. I'm not even saying an excellent blockchain. I'm just saying that this alternative financial system is going to change everything we know about the economy, and Bitcoin is part of this. It's part of the liberation that we are going to see from the current oppressive financial system that we find ourselves in.
Sure, that's a good. Oh, go ahead, Tony, if you want to add a little bit to that.
Here's where I disagree with that. The loans that you are talking about, if you're going to get a non-KYC loan, you have to provide non-KYC capital for that loan, right? This is why if you want to borrow $50,000, you have to give them $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. So what is the, I mean, there are reasons to do that. Now you have the capabilities of putting up $100,000 worth of un-KYC capital to get 50,000 to do something, and you hold on to that crypto as it appreciates. The majority of people that are asking for loans, they're not asking for loans because they have more money than the loan is worth. They need a loan because they don't have the money. So if you are going to get one of these DeFi loans, but you don't have more money in that collateral, how do you do that? You have to put up, let's say, that property as collateral. So, and now you're not un-KYC'd. Someone has to KYC because they have to take away your property if you can't make good on the loan. So like a lot of these non-KYC loan solutions, they only work for the people that are already rich and wealthy. They're not really there for people that have no money and need a loan.
Have you heard of uncollateralized loans? Also in the real world, a lot of developing countries, probably, probably it's not the case for the US, but it's the case, for instance, in different African countries. Under collateralized loans are actually helping real people. So it's not about having. Sorry?
Hold on, the money come from? Where does the money come from for an uncollateralized loans?
Well, sorry, yeah, Richard?
Sorry, I was just going off at a bit of a tangent. Tone, you say that the crypto loan is a collateralized loan. I would like to argue that every single loan is a collateralized loan. If you take a loan from the bank, you put your house up for collateral, which means that you don't own the house. If you take a DeFi loan, you own the house. You know, you're not putting the house up as collateral. If you decide not to pay that loan back, they can never take your house. So the bank currently does not offer don't offer uncollateralized loans, just like DeFi. But you're going back to Maria's point, there is loans that are uncollateralized where you can leverage other people's funds, in a system where they sign surety.
How is that better? How is that better than Wall Street? How is that better than a traditional financial system? Like I don't understand. Like, where is the money coming from? Who's printing this money?
Well, the way that it's better is that you have a personal interaction with the person that's signing surety for you. So it just allows the decentralization of the financial system. You're no longer begging a regulator for a loan. You are taking a loan in a logical, concise way from someone that would trust you if you don't have the fund yourself. But look, there is no, whether you use crypto or you use a property, you're going to put collateral down. There's no getting out of that.
And just to reel this back in a little bit, so it sounds like we've hit a bit of a nerve, I think, in terms of how we define innovation in the DeFi space, and it kind of circles around whether we're making the current system better or worse, or if we're simply replicating the current system. And on the one hand, we might have the ability to decentralize, for instance, loans, but maybe we can make a short list of other innovations in the DeFi space that we're very bullish about, or that are concrete enough to discuss. Perhaps Maria or Richard, if you want to chime in there. It sounds like Tone maybe hasn't found enough innovation in DeFi to speak on this yet.
Well, I'll quickly chime in because the amount of use cases for DeFi, I mean, they're not finite. There's just so many. All the things that we do in traditional finance, we will at some stage be able to do in DeFi. Granted, not now because DeFi is in its infancy. But we've got loans, we've got trading, we've got leverage, we've got insurance, we've got savings and investments, we've got funds, we've got trusts, we've got property ownership, we've got all of these mechanisms where we will not be able to, or we will not have to beg regulators to allow us, or wait months for a property to transfer into your name, or have to qualify and be eligible to put your savings into a yield earning account. If you want to take insurance that is unrealistic and doesn't fit into the current sort of boxes that the regulators put, you will be able to put up a proposition for that unrealistic insurance. And you may or may not find someone in the DeFi space that's willing to facilitate and give you that insurance. It is going to open up everything. It is going to just explode the economy and the financial situation, and everything that we know is going to be explosive because innovative people, the people in the bank, the regulators, they do not always have any answers, let alone all the answers. They sit there and they have very, very few products. We've got millions of people in the world that have very good ideas and have excellent offerings and products. And this is all going to be available, that they can just simply offer it online with a very little risk portfolio or protocol, and we'll be able to either take it or not take it. Just quickly touching on regulation, this will be the most highly regulated industry in the world because it will be regulated by the people, by the community. And scams might last, but we're all going to wisen up. We're all going to evolve to another level where we can self-regulate, where the community can regulate, and we can get the full benefit of what is out there and the brilliance of the human mind.
Sure. Yeah, a nice sentiment. Did you want to add anything to that, Maria?
Yeah, I just want to add something. We have to understand that actually DeFi, most of it is at a very early stage, and we're all alpha testers. And it's a really, really good test bed as well, because people are really not scared to put their funds there, which is dangerous, overwhelming, and at the same time exciting. So we can experiment right now with real money and assess the risks. And as Richard really well said, the same community is learning what's right, what's wrong, and what's unacceptable as well. But I do think that regulation will still come from regulators, of course, and we have to be very real about this. And absolutely, I believe that a lot of things in DeFi are going to be classified as securities, but the regulators and the lawyers are advancing so much right now that some projects will be lost, some projects will get dominancy because they're the most legal savvy, but then again, everyone will be able to leverage in one way or another regulated DeFi assets as well.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of time.
Sure, and I guess I'd just like to riff a little bit off what I heard Tones speak about, that everything in DeFi is a Ponzi. If you recall it, or people have called Bitcoin a Ponzi many, many times, and perhaps what we're seeing in DeFi is the equivalent of investing in Bitcoin in, say, 2012 or 2013. Do you see it differently, or how is it not the same thing? There's risk involved. There's false regulations, a bit of uncertainty. It seems very much like the similar dynamic in DeFi.
So I'll comment real quick. So Bitcoin, and I'm gonna almost quote Lukasz Jur, who said it back in 2013 when he was trying to explain why Litecoin is a scam, even back then. And he did refer to Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin is pretty much a pump and dump as well, but there's one thing that separates Bitcoin from being a pump and dump is that it actually brought true innovation. So the true innovation in Bitcoin comes in multiple forms. And one of those forms is Bitcoin is the first unconfiscatable asset we've had because you can store it in your brain and it doesn't have any physical interaction with the world. It gives you censorship-resistant value transfer because it's decentralized, because of nodes, mining, and its core development. All three parts of the decentralization, and it's finite in supply, only 21 million Bitcoin. None of these elements are true for anything else in the crypto space, not even Litecoin, not even Ethereum. Ethereum will be printed forever. So like these elements don't exist, and DeFi like centralizes these even more. So I don't see true innovation there, and because I don't see true innovation there, it's going to be very difficult for any of these projects to really take off. Is it possible that one or two of them could eventually succeed? I guess it's possible, but since there are thousands out there, I have no idea which one or two those are, and I'm smart enough to know that I don't know which ones are going to succeed. So I'm staying away from everything in the DeFi space, and I'm just sticking with Bitcoin because Bitcoin will stick around.
Okay, all right. So Bitcoin sticks around. I think we can all agree perhaps on that at least. But I think another point, a good segue is that we now have over $1 billion of Bitcoin is circulating on Ethereum right now. And to what extent do we, perhaps on the Ethereum pro DeFi side of things, think of this, and what do we think, perhaps pro Bitcoin, anti DeFi side of things, think about this? Bringing Bitcoin and its liquidity over to Ethereum, is this a net positive for the space or net negative? Richard or Maria, perhaps one of you? Or...
I think it's super positive, actually. I really want to welcome more people to test the different innovations in DeFi and tinker with the different protocols, assess risk as well, and not be scared of experimenting. And of course, Bitcoin is a great thing, is a great asset for the world, especially right now that we can't really not trust the government or the institutions. So why not bring it to Ethereum? Why not build a bridge and start, seeing what other features it can have, thanks to, like a more extended platform?
Liam, well, first of all, Maria, I do agree with that very much. Tone, just very quickly, I think you know that Bitcoin is my favorite asset in the world. There is nothing else that touches Bitcoin. However, it's not like a marriage, and it's not like a religion. I can have multiple coins and still have Bitcoin as my favorite coin. As far as wrapped Bitcoin goes, Liam, to answer your question directly, I do have wrapped Bitcoin and I am dabbling in it. But I have a very clear understanding that as soon as I have wrapped that Bitcoin, it is no longer mine. I am holding a promissory note from someone else in the hope that they will one day give my Bitcoin back. So I don't think that you can say that you are owning Bitcoin if you have wrapped Bitcoin. You are really taking a bit of a gamble. But it is indicative of the fact that the Ethereum blockchain is currently the best that we have. Once again, I'm not saying it's fantastic, but it is the best that we have. And by wrapping that Bitcoin, you get the utility, you get to leverage, to finance, to loan against, and to do a host of other things with your Bitcoin. So while it's not a perfect situation, I'm going to agree with Maria and say I am prepared to dabble with it, and I'm prepared to take a small risk, hoping that humans generally, good will beat out evil, and I will get my Bitcoin back one day. But in the meantime, I will get all the benefits of the DeFi space that are available, in this case, on the Ethereum network.
Right.
And I'm on the other side of that. I advise people not to have their Bitcoin. Some of the, like all of my biggest mistakes in the crypto space were not hodling my Bitcoin. I mean, that's it. So look, Bitcoin gives you incredible freedoms, and it's incredible how many people just want to give up their Bitcoin the moment they get it. And I get messages from like old friends all the time that someone else is trying to get them into Bitcoin, and the first thing they want them to do with their Bitcoin the moment they acquire Bitcoin is to give it to someone else to make more money on their Bitcoin. And I basically tell them, nope, that's how you're going to lose all that Bitcoin. That's how it always happened. So I don't want to be a big pessimist here, but I think all that $1 billion worth of Bitcoin wrapped in Ethereum is going to end very badly, similar to many of the other projects that so far have ended badly. It's incredible how fast people are walking away. I am a believer in move fast and break things, but not when it comes to people's money, and not like when it comes to people's health. So it's kind of like, hey, let's get a vaccine out there in the next 3 months, and that could be a little bit dangerous. Same thing with money. Like, hey, move fast and break things if you're gonna try to have an app, like a music app or whatever. But when it comes to people's money and their life savings, you really want to move a little bit slower there, which is another reason that favors Bitcoin. A lot of people complain how slow Bitcoin is, how it's not innovating, but that's the point. That's the stability of Bitcoin and why it will be with us for years and years to come.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are fair points on all accounts. I think we all agree that Bitcoin is the #1 asset. We all have perhaps that was our first cryptocurrency, but we also, with a large asterisk, perhaps accept the risk to experiment on Ethereum with other products. And I wanted to get back to the final point before we wrap up here is the summer of DeFi and yield farming, and a lot of what we've talked about in this discussion has all happened or appeared to have happened for the most part on Ethereum. And this has resulted in another reminder of perhaps Ethereum's limits. And moving forward, do you think we'll continue to see DeFi flourishing on Ethereum, or are we going to see a larger community of layer ones and bridges and interoperability solutions that connect Ethereum with other blockchains to continue to grow the space?
I'm personally really excited about another blockchain trying to build their bridges and their own implementations of Ethereum-based protocols. Honestly, it's not about a competition. The more people that can benefit from DeFi in whatever platform they want to choose, that's fine by me. At the end, what Richard said again, DeFi is about decentralized or alternative finance. It's not about Ethereum-based. I've seen very, very cool experiments on top of Polkadot. I've seen very cool things also on top of Ava. And I'm really looking forward for someone to actually test Ethereum's capabilities and, sort of taunt the Ethereum community as well. And for them to understand that, it's not Ethereum is not the king of DeFi. And if they want to be competitive with other chains that are building better implementations and better protocols, they really need to work together. So personally, I think it's the more the merrier.
Yeah, I agree with that, Maria. And Liam, no, I certainly don't think that we need to be beholden to Ethereum for DeFi, because we're seeing amazing things happen on Tron. I mean, I'm deeply involved in DeFi on the Tron network, and it works in many cases better than Ethereum. It's super fast, it's super cheap. And there are a lot of projects, I don't know if people are aware of this, but there are a lot of projects on the Tron network that are not being built, that are currently working and people are using. Granted, a lot of them are liquidity mining and yield farming, but there's also Just Swap, which allows you to swap tokens. And, you can take loans on the Tron network. There is a host of things. So And even Neo has DeFi offerings with Flamingo.finance. So I think that asking whether Ethereum is able to scale, and it's a bit like saying, will the dollar take over the world, or are we all going to speak English? No, we're not. We're going to keep our languages. We're going to keep our currencies. We're going to see DeFi rolling out on a host of networks. DeFi, in essence, is just cannot be stopped now. It is not based on any blockchain agnostic. It is going to take over and eat up and consume the traditional finance sector as we know it.
And I don't know if, Tone, you have any adding thoughts to that, because you're not so active, it appears, in the Ethereum or DeFi.
I agree that Ethereum has a lot of competition for all the DeFi, and it is going to spread around because Ethereum can't scale. And none of these other platforms can scale either. But like as Richard just said, of course, things are going to be faster and cheaper on Tron because very few people use Tron. This is the same argument Roger Ver uses as to why Bcash is faster and cheaper than Bitcoin. Well, right, because no one is using it. So obviously, a lot of the Ethereum competition, and it was built later than Ethereum, so it would probably resolve some of Ethereum's bottlenecks. So they will be faster and cheaper for now. But that this decentralization is incredibly difficult to scale. This is why everyone makes fun of Bitcoin for being so slow and so expensive, but they actually solved the scaling problem. So Bitcoin was able to resolve the scaling problem, even though in our media, it's the complete opposite, talking about how Bitcoin isn't the one that's able to scale. But again, I'm not as enthusiastic about this DeFi space because to me, I don't see much innovation other than people creating these platforms to try and capture the DeFi traffic. And everything revolves around printing your own token. Everything revolves around printing your own money. From Justin Sun printing the Tron token to Vitalik printing the Ethereum token. None of these projects need their own native money. They don't. Not technologically speaking. From a technological perspective, there is nothing in the crypto space that requires its own money other than the want to print your own money. And not just the creators of the platform and the DeFi project printing their own money, mostly for themselves and enough for others to get some hype, but also to convince others to buy into the money that they're printing, to promote the money that they're printing, to get rich on the money that's being printed. This is basically the crypto space in a nutshell after Bitcoin's innovation to create decentralized money for the world. Every other project, it basically comes down to who's printing the token, who's collecting the majority of the money from that token, and it's all about the promotion game. Who can promote their token through Twitter and YouTube and get influencers. And eventually, I'm hoping it would end because I don't think it's a great society where every single person is printing their own money. And that's so far where we've been headed for the last 9 years.
Well, I think a lot of that could be said too if Satoshi Nakamoto came out of anonymity and decided to dump his tokens and become a rich man or rich woman or a rich group of people. I think a lot of the same arguments could be used. But I think before we go, Richard or Maria, do you have a platform or a protocol, a dApp or a DeFi tool that you think Tone must try, and it might even convince him of maybe a bullish argument about the innovations happening in DeFi? What would you shield to him as an interesting protocol for him to try?
Good question.
Look, I don't think I could shill anything to Tone because he's not going to try it. I mean, he's made his stance pretty clear. And while I'm going to reiterate that I'm actually with Tone as far as Bitcoin goes, but it's not a marriage, Tone. You know, Bitcoin is not going to say that you're cheating if you go and play with Ethereum or if you go and play. But there are, look, certainly to directly answer that, Liam, platforms like Oasis.app or Compound for loaning is definitely the place to start. You know, just for me, a very clear use case. If I've got Ethereum and the Bitcoin price drops tomorrow, I am not that guy that says, oh, I wish I had money because there's such a great dip and there's such an opportunity and I want to buy now. I'm that guy that takes a loan, buys the dip, waits for the price to increase, pays back the loan and keeps the balance. And that is a very real use case that we can use in crypto right now. You know, like there's just hundreds that I could list, but I think that it's very simply like this. Forget about Bitcoin, forget about Ethereum. Tone, this is the question I'm going to pose to you. Would you prefer to go and get a loan from JP Morgan and stand in that queue and stand in that bank? Or would you prefer to do it online with no hassle? That's the question.
Richard, hold your answer. Maria, do you have any platforms that you think Tone should give a shot?
For sure. I think that actually Synthetics is a really good example, and it's pure experimentation. And if you like printing money, then that's your corner of the world as well. If you don't like printing money, that's also a really good fit, because you will be horrified and validate all of your assumptions.
Great. And yeah, Tone, do you have any responses to, I guess, maybe Richard's question or some of the other comments just made?
Yeah, no, I got to respond to Richard. Instead of taking out a loan, I prefer to sell whatever I have to buy Bitcoin so that I don't have to take out a loan ever again in the future. That's my plan.
Okay.
Just about out of time, hence the arrival of James. Welcome back, James.
Carry on. I mean, this has been the hottest session of the day without any shadow of a doubt. So if there are any other questions that have come through there, please feel free to answer them, Liam.
Yeah, let me check. Okay, looks like a lot of people are very interested in printing cash in the discussion board, so not so much innovation there. But I guess maybe just a quick response, maybe yes or no from the gang. Do we see yield farming going the way of ICOs? Do you think it's going to become a taboo like 2017, and you think yield farming is finished, Maria? Okay, Richard.
I think yield farming is probably finished, and it is very, very similar to the ICO craze. But let's not take away from the fact that yield farming was or is a catalyst to get multiple tokens onto decentralized exchanges. So for all the bad that it's done and all the scams that it has, and I personally have lost a reasonable amount of money through impermanent loss, which is a complicated topic, but let's not take away from the fact that this has caused decentralized exchanges to have more volume than centralized exchanges for the first time ever. So in my opinion, it is a net positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Tone, maybe a final word from the Bitcoin boss.
I think yield farming is done. I can't believe it was ever popular to begin with, but I always tend to underestimate how silly some things can get within new innovation like Bitcoin. And everyone just does stuff on the outskirts, and some of them do get hot. So we'll see what happens next. I'm generally keeping an eye on the space, but I'm mostly focused on Bitcoin.
Cool. All right. I think that's all the time we have. Thanks, guys, for your insight.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated. And James.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Great stuff. Thanks so much, everyone. That was really outstanding. So fortunately, that was recorded as well. And we really appreciate the input and the thoughts that came through from that. That was absolutely brilliant. So thank you.